Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Steve Marchese. I'm the Public Service Director with the Minnesota State Bar Association, and thank you so much for spending your lunch hour, noon hour with me today. Our topic today is going to be Unbundled and More, the online resources to help you connect with clients, both paid and pro bono. So for those of you who we have not met in the past, like I said, I'm the Public Service Director. I have been focused here at the Bar Association for a little over a decade on pro bono and public service. Many of you may know the work that I do recruiting and recognizing lawyers who do pro bono, the North Star Lawyer program that we've had for a number of years, the Access to Justice Committee and work related to that. I met with a variety of sections and committees over the years, have staffed a number of them. And so I am one of the two staff members here at the State Bar Association, professional staff to focus on access to justice work. And my work has been focused on encouraging and working with our members to do more to assist low-income and modest-income Minnesotans to get representation. And so the topic today really is a way for the Bar Association to connect you and connect your practices to the people who need your assistance, whether they have the ability to pay or not. And I know many of you are interested in and already do pro bono work, or may be interested in increasing that. And in addition, many of you may be thinking about how to increase your availability of services for moderate income clients, and are thinking about things like flat fees, sliding fees, unbundled service, or otherwise known as limited scope service. So we're going to talk a little bit about all of these things today. I want to show you what's available online to give you a sense of what we can think about connecting to remotely to both connect with clients and build your practice. Also talk a little bit about the programs themselves and some ideas that you may want to consider as you think about constructing or improving or enhancing your practice. We're going to talk, I'm going to talk to start with about the two areas that we're going to be looking at. We'll go first through the low bono area, and I'll talk about our Unbundled Law Project, which is a relatively recent initiative of the State Bar Association in conjunction with the Ramsey and Hennepin County bars. I'll also talk about the statewide low fee project, which has also been known as the statewide low fee family law project, and I'll update you a little bit on how that program has changed in the recent year or so. We'll take some questions, so please consider asking questions when we get to that point at the end of the presentation, that section. Then I'll go on to some of the pro bono resources that we have available online, talk a little bit about ProjusticeMN, and then the LawhelpMN website, take any of your questions at that time, and any follow-up that you may have from the earlier part of the program. So hopefully this will be an informative hour for you, and you will hopefully come away from this discussion with some helpful places to look, places and resources to check, and hopefully get you thinking about how you can both do more pro bono if you aren't, or increase that, and certainly how you can incorporate these low bono or modest income practices into your practice so that you can reach those clients. So I'm going to start first with focusing on the low bono practice. And I put up on the screen an advertisement that maybe some of you saw back last summer. About a year ago, we ran it in the Bench and Bar magazine to just really focus on the two projects that we had started back in 2017 and 2018 to really enhance the Bar Association's efforts to assist members to connect with modest income clients. We realized that a lot of the work that we do at the Bar Association has been focused, and necessarily so, on the lowest income Minnesotans. We know that many Minnesotans really struggle with their ability to get legal representation through our civil legal aid programs. And so we've been doing that work for many years. We have a rule that focuses on that, the Rule 6.1 of the Professional Conduct Rules. We also have been consistently messaging that through advertisements, recognition programs, talks, CLEs, you name it. But we also know that there is a significant proportion of our community that has some capacity to pay, but maybe they're not able to pay a full market rate, or they are just outside of the guidelines for our legal aid programs. One of the things that is helpful to remember is that our legal aid programs reserve the vast majority of their services for people who are at 125% of the poverty level or lower. That is not a very high amount of money for clients to meet. That means that for a family of four, we're dealing with folks who are making less than $30,000 a year. So if you are a family of four and you make more than that, there are sometimes free services available depending on the program, but by and large, those services sort of max out a little bit north of about $35,000, $40,000 for a family of four. And because of that, there are certainly plenty of people who are looking for opportunities to be represented, and they need representation, but they're not going to get it for free, and they're going to be looking to the bar at large to be able to meet their legal needs. So these are folks who are maybe employed and be employed at jobs that are not paying that much more or at minimum wage. Excuse me, and they are also trying to make ends meet with rent and food expenses, childcare, and other sorts of needs that they have. They may be caring for relatives. And certainly now, particularly in our COVID-19 pandemic environment, there are many, many people who are facing some potentially really dire legal issues, whether they relate to their own domestic or personal relationships, housing, and we are under some eviction moratoria right now, but those will eventually stop or end. And those legal needs don't change. And so folks are looking for reasonable cost ways of connecting with lawyers. I get those emails. You may very well be getting those requests, and people contact you and try to figure out whether you can help them. So at the Bar Association, 2017, 2018, we really began to focus on two efforts that were ways of increasing the service that we hope that we can provide to members of the community who have moderate or modest incomes. And the two that I'm going to focus on are our Minnesota Unbundled Law Project and our statewide low-fee family law project. So let me tell you a little bit first about the Unbundled Law Project. Back in 2017, the state of Minnesota, through this court system and the judicial branch, went through an evaluation process called Justice for All. It was a result of a grant from the National Center for State Courts to really encourage states, and there were 7 that were selected, and we were fortunate to be one of them, to really do sort of a soup to nuts evaluation of how we were meeting the needs of potential litigants, both low income and moderate income across the income spectrum, and the types of services that are being offered by our judicial branch, by our bar, by providers throughout the community, both legal aid and non-legal aid. And in that analysis, we looked at particularly the availability of services for clients who are moderate income, and realized that we needed ways to increase the ability of those clients to access legal service in some coordinated kind of way. In addition, and I'll talk about this more later on in our session when we talk about the LawhelpMN website, there was the recognition that we needed to have a place for potential litigants to come into the system, an internet resource where they can find out how they can connect up to legal aid programs or lawyer referral services, and find pro bono lawyers and do all of those things from one location. And we wanted to make sure that there was a location for low fee or unbundled work. Now, you know, I should probably just go back and just kind of unpack the term unbundled a little bit. As you know, there are a number of different ways that lawyers can use to keep costs down, and I'm sure many of you do use them. one of the ones that has been discussed much over the last 10 or 12 years has been using limited scope services, so that when a client is coming to you, you're not thinking about the entire scope of the representation being accomplished by you, but where you can add value to that client, and then potentially based upon the client's legal issue, as well as the the nature of their background and their capacity, can see where they are able to maybe handle some aspects of it, so that you could assist with them by drafting pleadings or coaching them or doing those kinds of tasks that might be necessary based on your expertise, but that the client has the capacity to, with that coaching, appear in a proceeding with your assistance, file the pleading, engage with opposing counsel, other sorts of things. And that scope can be designed and developed between the attorney and the client as you see fit. So we've been trying to encourage lawyers to think about how they could use limited scope practice. We've used the opportunity to work with our Lawyer Professional Responsibility Office to clarify through the ethical rules how that is possible and the ways that that is possible, that it does not violate the ethical professional responsibility rules to do that. And so as we were thinking about how to increase access for moderate income clients, we thought, we really should think about how we can create a resource from our central intake portal to a low-fee unbundled project. And so in 2018, the Bar Association came together with the State Bar, the Ramsey County Bar, and the Hennepin County Bar to think about a way to do this. And we started with surveying attorneys who are bar members in the small and solo practice group, particularly because those are predominantly the group of attorneys who are doing or open to doing moderate income practice. We did some focus groups as well. We did that so that we could think about both the training and the resources and the kind of platform that we would want to use to be able to make it possible for those attorneys who are interested to participate and connect with clients. And what we did is we created the Minnesota Unbundled Law Project as a resource, and I'll show you in the next slide a screenshot of what the website looks like, so that this platform, which is used, the underpinnings of it are used by a number of different lawyer referral resources nationally. It's a platform used by an entity called Community Lawyer. It allows for the ability of clients to put in information about their matter, where they're located or where the matter is located, put in some search terms around the nature of the matter, describe that, and then receive a list of up to 3 individual attorneys that are selected randomly by the algorithm in the system to be available to assist them, and the client then indicates which one that they would like to select, and then that person gets an email, the attorney, that this client is interested in connecting with them. The attorney is not under any obligation to take the matter. We do ask that attorneys who sign up for the project agree to at least review the referrals, have an initial conversation with the client, maybe initial consultation of whatever nature you're used to. Some practices I know do half hours or hours for free. We don't dictate, and the process isn't dictating to the attorney the nature of your fee arrangement. So you are free to set up and use your billing rates as you see fit. For some attorneys, they do flat fees for unbundled work. For others, they prefer to use some sort of sliding scale in assessing the fiscal capacity of the client. We went live with the website in October of 2018, and when the website, the statewide website for litigants was ready to roll, we connected them together. We've been able to have up to 30 attorneys who are participated in this Unbundled Law Project. We now have about 18, so we're certainly recruiting more attorneys to participate in the Unbundled Law Project. It's not a cost to any attorney to participate. We do think of, though, about how we want to make sure you are prepared if you're interested in doing this, to do this. So we've designed a basic training program that consists of two CLE programs, one that kind of introduces Unbundled and the other that talks maybe more specifically about Minnesota context. There is an agreement that we want you to complete that just it confirms that you are going to take referrals, at least to review them and screen them, but that you're not under an obligation to take the case. You have that professional discretion as always. And that we do have some malpractice requirements as well, and we want to be able to contact the CLE, the Lawyer Professional Responsibility Office, and know if there are any grievance issues related to you. If you've got no admonitions, at least no more than one admonition, you're certainly within the program requirements. Since the program started back in October of 2018, we've had 780 requests, we've had 330 consultations, and 58 engagements. So there's a lot that goes on through this that clients actually benefit from conversation with the attorneys that might direct them either to other resources or that might be enough to help them just to get oriented on what the legal issue is. For many of these clients, just remember they're coming into these situations very often with a complete unknown, not knowing what it is that they need to do, and sometimes just speaking with an attorney is what they need. We do hear from some of the panel program lawyers that folks are looking for free legal assistance, and we do make clear that this is not a free legal service, that they are going to be expected to pay something, although the parameters are designed by you and by your practice and your practice needs. So the Unbundled Law Project website looks like this. You could find it at mnunbundled.org. It does explain on the first page when you get to MN Unbundled for the client-facing part of it, what it is that this program is, this project is. It discusses what unbundled project law is and what that means, limited scope service, and hopefully in terms that members of the public can understand. And what we've learned through this project is that we continue to have to give people, the general public, a solid understanding of what limited scope service is and how that might be helpful, but that there are also limits to what the scope of representation is. So that's obviously something that's part of our public education. We do that at the bar, but it's certainly important for members of the bar in their own practices who are doing this work to continue to educate the community about that. So some key takeaways that I just want you to think about if you're interested in this. One, and you'll see my email at the end of this presentation. If you are interested in participating in the Minnesota Unbundled Law Project, please contact me directly. I can get you established with an account on the system and give you the requisite documents and information about the training. We want to make this as easy and as simple for you. It is a process that we do not manage a lot in terms of human contact on the staff side. So the matches are made through the system. I, as the staff at the Bar Association working with the project, will get information or inquiries, but it is not like lawyer referral where you have a live operator who will be doing the matching. Clients are getting this information through the system based upon the parameters that you have indicated on your profile, where you'd indicate the kinds of legal matters and the geography areas that you want to cover. I would encourage you, if you are interested in this, to also think that under the current circumstances, with as much remote work being done by our judicial branch, and in terms of how we are all practicing law these days, that opens up the geographic scope for what you might want to consider. Clients understand now that we are going to be doing a lot of law practice on Zoom, Teams, Skype, and other kinds of platforms. So if they are able to connect to an internet service and connect up with you that way or by phone, consider that you might want to think about expanding the geographic reach, because in many circumstances you can handle these conversations and this work remotely without having to meet in person. You could do it by video conference, exchange documents, and other. We're not going to get into all of those technological aspects in this presentation, and there are other resources the bar has for you to think about how to remote practice. The next program that I want to mention to you is the Minnesota Lawyer Referral Low Fee Project. And this started also in that 2017-2018 timeframe as a statewide low fee family law project. And it was originally a joint initiative with the Hennepin County Bar's Lawyer Referral and Information Service. That service is now merged with Ramsey County and has gone statewide, so that it is now the Minnesota Lawyer Referral Service, and it covers the entire state of Minnesota, not just the metro. But back in 2017 and 2018, we did have the Hennepin County Lawyer Referral Information Service together with us at the State Bar, working to figure out how we could increase the number of attorneys who worked with their lawyer referral program on a low fee basis. Now, this program had some specific parameters historically that the Hennepin County Bar had used. But what we were trying to do is really increase the number of attorneys who were available to take this work statewide. And those attorneys didn't have to necessarily be based in the metro. They could actually be based anywhere in the state of Minnesota. They didn't have to become members of the HCBA. They didn't even have to become members of the regular panel for the fee generating cases. But the HCBA had long maintained a low fee panel for family law only cases. And those were cases where, based upon an income screening that they did, that looked at the income of the clients to make sure that they could not pay full market rates. A client paid a $30 fee and then agreed to pay a $500 retainer and then pay up to $55 an hour for representation of a project attorney. And what we did is we increased the capacity of lawyer referral to handle these calls with some additional staffing. So the Bar Association provided some financial resources for that. We also made it possible for the HCBA not to have to charge the attorneys who are participating in the low fee panel a membership fee, as I said before, so that they could join for free as long as they were doing the low fee panel. There had always been this panel for family cases because there was always been a need, and we know from our case information that family law very often has been the main area where clients are looking for representation from attorneys and they're not able to pay, whether that's divorce and custody cases, domestic violence cases, so orders for protection, restraining orders, harassment restraining orders, or changes in custody or child support being the predominant ones. And so if attorneys who participated in this project could then receive referrals from the lawyer referral service, and those clients had been income screened, so they didn't have to do the income screening. They could rely on lawyer referral staff having done that screening. And then when they got the referral, the client got one referral. It wasn't like the Unbundled project where they got a list. They could get one referral to a low fee panel attorney, and that attorney could then meet with them, and if it worked out, then engage them based upon the parameters of the $500 retainer and the $55 an hour billing. We were able to get a number of lawyers to participate this to expand the scope of the availability of representation in this project, so that it extended into more areas in central and southern Minnesota in particular. We are always looking for more people to participate on this, and now that the lawyer referral programs have merged to one statewide program, they've also now made it possible for panel members to also practice in areas outside of outside of family law. So it's low fee, but it's not limited solely to family law. It's any area that's except the areas that would be traditionally contingency fee based. This is the website now of the Minnesota Lawyer Referral Program. And as you can see, it does have a public and attorney facing part of the website. If you are interested in participating in the low fee panel, let them know. It is obviously, there's a button for attorneys. The MNLRIS or MNLIRIS or Minnesota Lawyer Referral and Information Service staff will connect with you and get you signed up. They also want to make sure that you are meeting their guidelines for participation in terms of your ethical obligations, malpractice coverage, and the like as well. So there you have both the Lawyer Referral Program and the Unbundled Law Project program. Let's pause maybe for a minute or two and take any questions that folks might have about either of these low bono opportunities.
Go ahead and take a moment to throw those into chat or into the Q&A section, folks. If Steve doesn't see them, I'll forward them on. Steve, I thought I'd offer one point of clarification as well. You referenced the fact that the Minnesota Unbundled website was built for us by a community lawyer. I don't know why I didn't think of this earlier. I knew that was the case. This morning we did a sort of a deep dive, I guess a deep introduction into community.lawyer, the document assembly tool.
Oh,
it is
okay.
in fact the same company. Just coincidentally, they've done both projects for us. So not to be confused, it actually is the same company. They just have a broad scope of things that they do, I guess. So.
Sure. We have a question in here about any opportunity to co-represent or shadow an attorney. That's an interesting question. I think if you are interested in participating in the Unbundled Law Project, we could certainly connect with our project attorneys and see who would be interested in potentially allowing you to shadow. What we have been trying to do more of is creating some community for the attorneys to share information about best practices in unbundled representation so that there is some exchange of information. We want to enhance that and set up maybe some more community conversation around that. We've been talking about some ongoing training for project lawyers so that they can get some additional assistance. In terms of the low fee project that the lawyer referral program has, I would connect up with the staff of the lawyer referral program to see what they offer. I suspect there are also opportunities. I don't know to co-counsel, but certainly to consult with, mentor by, or be shadowing an existing attorney at, but I would direct that to the lawyer referral people. Other questions that folks have right now? This is not your last chance. If not, we'll save those up for a few minutes and I'll just switch the conversation over to our discussion about pro bono. As many of you know, this has been my traditional area of focus at the State Bar Association because of the longstanding commitment of the bar to increasing access for low-income people to the judicial system and our support and partnership with our civil legal aid programs throughout the state. I'm not going to give a whole pitch for the importance of pro bono as part of my discussion today. I do that in other venues, and some of you may have heard my pitches about that before. The only things that I will say is that in our current circumstance, more than ever, we are going to need attorneys in the private bar to assist with representing low-income clients, and the needs are many. They're huge. Many of our programs did see a dip in requests right after the start of the COVID emergency, and those requests are now back up again. We obviously don't have as many opportunities for live face-to-face interaction because clinics, for example, are not being held at courthouses given the current circumstances, the way that the judicial branch is providing service in our courthouses throughout the state. It's certainly county by county, district by district, but many proceedings are being done remotely, and clients still have personal and economic, particularly now with the economy as it is, even more than ever, concerns about unemployment insurance, employment discrimination, and then with the unrest, particularly in the metro, concerns about working with landlords, working with insurers who may be needed if there's small business owners, or working on small margins in many of our small nonprofits as well. So we do have a lot of need, and if there is any time to get involved, now is an important and necessary time. The website that I'm referring to here, ProjusticeMN, has been in existence for quite a long time now, and it was started as an effort with our Legal Services Coalition legal aid partners in 2001, back in the early days of when these sites were getting established, as sort of a one-stop shop for pro bono lawyers with resources. And it is now administered by the Legal Services State Support Center as part of their services to the larger civil legal aid community. It's a completely free resource for any attorney, so there's never a cost. And the kinds of things that you find on ProJustice are the kinds of things that I think could be very helpful to you if you are thinking about either just dipping your toe into pro bono practice and you're trying to figure out where to go, and if you're starting in pro bono practice and you want to have some resources to work with. So there are free libraries of practice materials. There are libraries of recorded CLE programs and trainings. There is a roster of organizations with volunteer opportunities. There's calendars that lists both trainings and clinics. A lot of information and resources that are available completely for free on ProjusticeMN. And we've been working with state support to continuously improve the site, to see if there are ways that we can improve both the layout of the program, of the website, but also of the information and the quality of information. What I should say about the libraries that are on there is these are all libraries with pleadings, samples, forms generators for things like criminal expungements that were generated by attorneys and staff at the legal aid program. So these are folks who do this work daily, and they have sort of shared their best practices, their tips, their resources with you as a member of the website as pro bono lawyers. And we wanted to do that because we want to make sure that you have access to all of this information as part of your pro bono practice. Certainly when you connect up with any of the legal aid providers and connect with them and let them know you're interested in volunteering, they will provide you with training and their own resources. And these resources on ProjusticeMN can either complement, supplement, augment what you get from any of your providers as a backup. And some of the providers really refer the attorneys right to ProjusticeMN, and that's really helpful, I think, for new pro bono lawyers. It has a list of programs that are doing that regularly have volunteer opportunities with contact information. So it's a good place to explore if you're thinking, I'm interested in a particular type or kind of pro bono, some geographic preference may be part of that as well. So you at least know who to email or call and volunteer. So ProjusticeMN looks like this. I'll get that up on the screen. As you can see, it says volunteer. And that gives you the resources to go look at, the volunteer information, resources, those are the libraries, calendar, which is the calendar of trainings and opportunities. If you are a volunteer, how you can find a case. One of the new resources that this links to is also the Minnesota Legal Advice Online platform. Minnesota Legal Advice Online was started about 3 years ago as a completely virtual legal clinic. So for attorneys who are interested in answering questions, but they want to do it from the comfort of wherever they're located, you can sign up with the Minnesota Legal Advice Online platform, indicate what kinds of questions you want to answer, get a login information for that website, and receive pro bono credit, because that is an approved provider. It's administered with state support. Answer the questions, no further expectation of representation beyond the answering of the question. You can exchange documents. And so there are links to that service off of ProjusticeMN. It's a great way to get started, by the way, if you're interested in dipping your toe into pro bono service. The pro bono organization directory and some more information on volunteering. You can also set up alerts through this ProjusticeMN website to get case notification when particular kinds of cases show up in their volunteer opportunities, and then you can use that as a way to get stuff sent to you into your email. Certainly doesn't stop you from searching any of that information and making it available to you when you search it. But if you want to wait till you get an email, sometimes those search agents really are great ways to sort of get it information. Another thing that they do provide on the calendar feature is some information about upcoming clinics. And I know for many attorneys, many of you, some of you may have seen that we were surveying practicing attorneys to get some better information about what people do, why they do it, and how. For many of you who are attorneys who are involved in pro bono, you may decide that a clinic is the best way for you to provide service, but you're trying to think through kind of who does the clinic, where is it located, what's the calendar, the consistency of it. And so there is a calendar feature right here, as you see on the website, that you can search and see when clinics are coming up. Again, now we're not doing as many in-person clinics live, but there are clinics being done throughout the state by the different legal aid organizations using distance technology. The programs that are running these clinics may assist you with providing you with Zoom or Teams access. You may have those services on your own, in which case they will arrange with you how to connect with the client. Obviously, this creates issues on the client side. We want to make sure that they can get access to the internet. Clients are coming from many different kinds of locations around the state. Some of them have internet access through phones or sometimes through computer access at home. Sometimes they're getting it from a program, or they're trying to use a Wi-Fi service someplace in the community that they can get access. So clinics still are happening, and they're being done in almost all regards remotely. But the advantage of that for a practitioner is the ability to decide in your own practice what it is that you want to do, keep the scope very brief. So this is just brief advice. You might get a roster of 4 or 5 different clients coming in over a 2 or 2.5 hour period of time, and you know how much time you're going to devote, and you can bill that or book that into your calendar and keep it easy. You're not going to see that engagement spread out into a long-term engagement, and you can decide that this is a good way monthly for you to provide pro bono service. So I do also want to suggest that the advantage of clinic type service and the value to many pro bono or low-income clients is, again, sort of what we were talking about earlier when I talked about consultation for low fee or unbundled service. Very often clients are looking just for the opportunity to talk for some amount of time to a lawyer. The difference that really makes for a client who is really unable to understand, for a whole host of reasons, what the issues are, what the process might be, and what you as an attorney can provide to them in terms of your knowledge. And I understand that many of you who do think about doing pro bono work may be concerned about, I don't know the area of the law very well. I don't always practice in that area. Am I really qualified? One, legal aid programs provide training, and there are always training opportunities that are available through CLE type programs. They will provide you with staff attorney assistance, sometimes mentors, sample pleadings, guides, other things that they make available to make sure that you have some basis. But just remember that you went through law school, you passed the bar. you're starting so far ahead of where many of our clients are, that just that half hour that you can provide to them really makes a huge difference in terms of giving them some direction. That might be enough, or it may not be enough. But whatever you do in that effort is adding value to our low bono and our pro bono clients. And so I do encourage you to check out ProjusticeMN, connect with our legal aid programs now. We are talking about large increases in housing-related concerns for evictions once the moratorium expires in October. So we're going to need to ramp up those efforts, and you may see more efforts to recruit pro bono lawyers coming from the bar and elsewhere as the fall presses on. The final website that I want to talk about with you is one that's a broader one. It's not designated or really directed towards attorneys or even just clients with lawyers. It's to the public. It's LawhelpMN. And this is the main statewide website for public members who are seeking legal assistance. This is the portal that I referenced at the beginning through the Justice for All project that is now serving as a great way to curate resources for public members who are looking to find out information and ways to receive assistance and information. LawhelpMN is, again, maintained by the Legal Services State Support Center. So as you see, they maintain an attorney-facing page, ProjusticeMN, and a public-facing page, LawhelpMN. And the value to you as a practitioner with LawhelpMN is that there are really well done materials. There are curated resources that have been created by legal services attorneys and staff that really break down and explain many of the legal issues that low-income people face. Almost every issue, including language translations in many of those resources. And that is really a great resource for you at a clinic, if you're talking to someone on the phone, if you're doing a video call. You can pull up LawhelpMN during the course of your consultation, and you can read through what a client could read through, but you might be able to really help enhance their understanding of it if it's an information sheet. So one of the things that's been added to this as part of the enhancements that were done in the last year or two, it was the creation of a guide that has a guided interview to refer clients to targeted resources and referrals. And that's the curating that I was talking about before. Sort of like the interview on the Unbundled Law Project that I mentioned when I was talking about that website. Clients can put in the nature of their legal issue, the geography, the jurisdiction, all of those kinds of things. And then the system will generate two kinds of information. Some of them will be one kind of information is substantive. It will pop up information resources that are relevant, fact sheets, explanatory materials, links to resources, all on one screen. The other thing it will do is it will also go through the database of the programs and services that are offered throughout the state and curate the ones that are the most tailored so that they could get information for a legal aid program. The guide questions that the questions that it asks will ask questions around income eligibility, and that information will be populated in the legal aid program's intake system. And then a staff member on that side, based upon the response of the member of the public, can begin a client intake. So it also can provide referrals to Lawyer Referral, to our Unbundled Law Project, and those kinds of other supplemental resources. So the great thing about this is that with clients coming in through that resource, we've done some vetting, and that really, I think, makes it really, really valuable and helpful to clients. The other thing that you will see on the website recently are very extensive COVID-19 related resources. Again, as a practitioner who is interacting with the public, you may find those resources really helpful in answering questions that are coming to you from cold calls, so that you have a place to show people. You can either send them links, you could read up that information and just make that available. Your staff, who is, your legal assistants, whoever is monitoring your email or phones, should know about those resources and use LawhelpMN as the central place to find out and research those questions. You can certainly just send those links to clients, but if you want to be able to help explain that, LawhelpMN will have that information for you as well. So there's a lot of value available on LawhelpMN to you in your practice. Like I said, it's targeted to the general public, but as you address legal issues that you might feel are you're less familiar with, this is a great resource for you to go to. This is the way LawhelpMN looks. As you see, that it is versions that are in Spanish, Hmong, and Somali. There is the LawhelpMN guide, and that is the curated sort of TurboTax type interview that would give the curated resources. Clients can also come here, or public members can come here and answer those questions. If you want to go yourself and you want to just go to the self-help library, you could click that link to the self-help library and you can go and search yourself for the fact sheets and all the resources and information that they provide to the public, you can benefit from as well. So I want to stop now. We've got about 15 minutes or ish left to the presentation. I know we've got questions in the chat, in the Q&A. So Mike, maybe you want to sort of cue some of these up.
Sure. So go ahead and take some time to throw in some questions. We did have one from Jerry Lynn asking, what if your skill set does not align with the areas of greatest need? She notes that she hasn't practiced family law in years.
Well, there are so many different ways for folks to participate in either low fee or pro bono work. A few different things. Not everybody needs to do family law. That is sort of a myth that has been discussed over the years. And that is, true that significant proportions of our legal aid client base needs assistance with family law. But we have clients who are facing challenges in their lives around housing, around bankruptcy, credit. Criminal expungements, I would say, is a huge area of need right now because many, many people are walking around with criminal records that prevent them from getting jobs or housing. And the process for assisting a client with criminal expungements is defined. It is a defined set of issues, defined statutory law that was improved several years ago to make it more available, and several legal aid programs that do training around that. And so what I would say is, if you are thinking of doing this and you're sort of intimidated by the family law and don't want to take an extended contested custody divorce, that is a subset of the issues, but certainly nowhere near the only issues that we have. Check in with ProjusticeMN to see what providers are doing in other areas of the law. Contact some of the legal aid programs in the areas that are listed in the guide or in the area of the state that you live in. The full range legal aid programs like Mid-Minnesota Legal Aid, Southern Minnesota Regional Legal Services, Legal Aid Society of Northeastern Minnesota, certainly include family law and other kinds of practice in their areas, but they do a lot of other things. We also have providers that do specific areas of the law like immigration, like the Immigrant Law Center. So folks who want to work with new arrivals can do naturalizations or asylum petitions and other kinds of work that, again, are incredibly valuable. And then organizations like the Volunteer Lawyers Network, which are here in the Metro, and other programs affiliated with legal aid programs, work specifically with volunteer lawyers so that they do both the training and the support to assist you so that if you did do family law, you're not going to be doing it hanging out on your own. So my encouragement is certainly assess what are the issues that you care about, what are the skills that you believe you could bring, and then start going to the legal aid programs. Let the volunteer professional staff work with you to think through where they can take your experience and your skills and use them best. There are no sort of shortage of clients available in this work. want to make sure we answer your questions about any of these resources. Also happy to talk about the the resources that we have here online as well. So we do have about 10 minutes left, and I'm happy to stay here with you and answer other questions. I see there's another in the chat. Here's a question. As an in-house insurance litigation attorney, my company is self-insured for legal malpractice, so I'm glad I'm getting this one. Are there pro bono projects that provide malpractice insurance for the volunteer attorney for work on something like criminal expungements? Okay, you gave me the softball pitch right down the center line, so I'm going to hit this one. Malpractice insurance should never, ever be your concern in doing pro bono work. Every legal aid program in the state of Minnesota that is working with volunteer lawyers provides malpractice coverage for the referrals that you receive from the program. I'm going to say it again. Every legal aid program in the state of Minnesota that you would be volunteering for will provide you with malpractice coverage. So what does that mean? For those of you who do not have regular coverage because you're not actively practicing, but you have an active law license, you will get primary coverage through the legal aid provider for that referral. If your insurance policy does not cover this representation, you will be covered by the legal aid program. If you do have your own malpractice insurance as part of your practice, obviously that's the first place to go. But do not ever let malpractice insurance stop you from taking a pro bono case, because there are policies that each legal aid program provides. You did also allow me to think about a couple other things that I wanted to mention to you about pro bono practice as sort of enticements. One is the CLE for pro bono program. Everybody needs CLE credits. And about a decade ago, the Minnesota Supreme Court agreed to make CLE credit available for pro bono service. And what that means is when you, and many of you now are doing this, are filing your affidavits for CLE credit, you can look on your registration page and it will say CLE for pro bono as a link on the side. It will pull up an affidavit that you can complete online. If you have done volunteering with any of the legal aid providers that are approved by the state of Minnesota's, by the judicial branch's Legal Services Advisory Committee, and you can check that online, there are links, excuse me, off of the CLE registration page, you will receive 1 CLE credit for every 6 hours of pro bono service, up to a total of 6 CLE credits. So 36 hours equaling 6 CLE credits per reporting period. So if you're short and you've done credits and you're looking for some extra credits and you've done pro bono service, go back to your CLE, to your legal aid organization you volunteered with, let them know that you've done that, get them to affirm that for the provider, as the provider on your form, and submit that in, and the CLE board will include that in as 6 CLE credits. So that's an enticement for you, and it's a benefit for you for doing CLE service. The other thing I want to mention is that if you are retired and you are a lawyer who is retired from active practice and you are over 68, which is, I believe, the current retired status, but if that's the new law, but if you have been retired, you may apply to be an emeritus lawyer. And this program allows you not to have to pay your registration fee as long as you are taking a referral with an established provider, similar to the CLE credit, and you take up to 5 CLE credits for that service. Maybe ethics, maybe bias, and maybe related to the area of the law. You may file that affidavit for up to 3 years. You will then be an emeritus provider. Your name will be added to the list, and you can volunteer with that legal aid program to do volunteer service. No other CLE requests or service necessary, no registration fees. And if you are planning to do that, please contact me directly, and you see my, my contact information on the screen. Please let them know. Let me know, because I can get you free CLE access for your credits for the emeritus program. So we do have an arrangement with Minnesota CLE to enable free CLEs for people who are seeking emeritus status. So please just email me. So I know we're running close to the end. I want to make sure we answer any more questions that folks have about pro bono practice or any of the online resources. I've left my contact information at the Bar Association, smarchese@minbars.org. My direct line, we are working remotely, so you will probably get my voicemail and I'll call you back. But email is probably the best way to reach me these days, as we are all working from our remote locations. And I'm happy to connect you to programs, give you ideas. Certainly, if you are interested in bundled practice, we certainly would love to have you as part of our Unbundled Law Project to increase both the areas of coverage of practice and also to make sure that we are also increasing the geographic scope and maintaining that throughout the state. We have a question about from someone whose sister-in-law is fluent in several languages. Are there non-lawyer volunteer opportunities in the legal area, not a court-approved interpreter? Many of the legal aid programs do seek out individuals who could provide interpretation services. That's not something that I know a lot about in terms of which programs to tell you, but what I would say is that if your sister-in-law is interested in volunteering, you can search the ProjusticeMN directory and connect her with the legal aid program and see what they're doing around working with volunteers for interpretive services. Obviously, interpretive service is really important to reaching communities throughout the state. And so legal aid programs do contract with some providers, do provide language line services that also do that on contract with them, but I would go directly to the program. So we're almost at time. Any last questions or thoughts or points that folks would like me to make? I'm happy to do that before we sign off. Mike, I think this presentation will be in the library, including a very recorded version of the CLE. Is that correct?
That's correct. We'll drop it into the practice law library so you can refer to it later or offer it to others. It's in the CLE folder in the practice law library. I also need just to do the ministerial task of reciting out loud the CLE code for our phone-in listeners. The code is 322078. That's 322078. I'll throw that into chat one more time as well.
Again, I want to thank everybody for taking time to be with us at your lunch hour. If this is your lunch hour or your break time or your noon hour, I appreciate you listening to my presentation. I'm open to helping you in any way that I can to connect with public service, pro bono, modest means, unbundled. Again, if you're interested in unbundled practice and you want to be part of our Unbundled Law Project, connect with me. If you're interested in pro bono, please connect with me. If you're interested in the low fee panel I mentioned with lawyer referral, please connect with the Minnesota Lawyer Referral Program. Go to ProjusticeMN if you're interested in volunteering, Law Help if you need information, LawhelpMN. And the most important thing is to continue to reach out these days and connect with members of our community who need legal representation. So thank you so much again. I appreciate your time, and I thank you for spending it with me for the last hour, and I hope the information was helpful to you.
Thanks a lot, Steve.
Great. Have a good afternoon, everybody.